Amitoj, you've got an update on the
Yes,
current
Dr. Roy.
situation.
Here's what's happened in the last 10 minutes. What's happened in Texas is that Donald Trump actually took a lead of 1,200 votes, and then 5 minutes later, Biden retook that lead and he has a lead of about 5,000 votes right now. 60% of the votes are in. What one needs to remember, and I was in Houston in October when Howdy Modi happened. Houston is the epicenter. San Antonio is there, and all these major cities out there in Texas are the ones that you're seeing the votes coming from. And we are seeing very clearly that the suburbs of Texas, that's where you're going to get a red wave. Those are the votes that are going to come. They're still to come. That is where you're going to see Donald Trump retaking that lead. And I just want to make two quick points. The polls have got it wrong, or if I can be more gentle on them, I can say one thing, that they're within the margin of error. So they haven't really got it wrong. That's what they usually say, right?
Amitoj, are you going to believe Dorab ever again? He's a pollster, you know.
I always believe Durab over you, and you already know that.
I'm sorry,
Amitoj, you're sounding like a cephalogist. Yeah, ye kya ho gaya?
Can I ask Amitoj a question? I'm not clear about the stage of counting. When are the actual votes counted, cast yesterday? And when are the postal votes being counted or the absentee ballot being counted? Because different states have different rules. And this time there are so many absentee votes.
Here's what happens. There are three different ways of counting the votes. All right. So one is when you get it, the moment you get it, you process it. You don't count it, but you process it. You open the ballot. You keep it ready to be counted very quickly. The second step is before election day, you are allowed to do the same process of, opening the ballot, getting it ready to be counted. And then there is on election day. That's Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, the two states that we are talking about. There is also the anomaly of the pandemic. We don't know certain things, and we have to be very open about that.
Yeah, very, very true, actually. Let's get an update from Amitoj. What are you hearing? Is it very close? Are people saying one side's winning, or it's too close to call still?
Well, the overwhelming thought is what Maya finished with, that it is too close to call. But I just want to make a few points very quickly. The first, the people that you saw outside the White House, the party that's happening for the Republicans, that's actually happening inside the White House. Outside the White House is the Black Lives Matter plaza, where you have in yellow very clearly written Black Lives Matter. And 2 hours ago, what we heard was that a lot of protesters had actually showed up there. So that gives you a sign of why outside the White House they actually put barricade. Another scenario I just want to present, and don't get spooked. I know Halloween's just gotten up over, but 269, the tie, the super over, is a possibility. And in that case, because the House has now been won by the Democrats may, you think, have the advantage, but they won't, because out there in that particular tie situation of 269, what really happens is that each state carries one vote. And that's why it's going to be very critical to see what happens to the rest of the states.
Amitoj, one question. When Congress votes or the House votes, which House votes? The one that is there now, or the one that's going to come in, which is only sworn in on January 6th?
The new House. The short answer is the new House. I want to make a point about Michigan. You talked about how divisive America is right now. Just don't forget that a short while back, a Governor Whitmer of Michigan, there was a kidnapping plot against her. Okay, the governor in America is like the chief minister in India. And to think of this, it's very important. The underlying feeling in that state was so clear because there were people, Republican supporters, who were walking into the state capitol with guns and literally saying, we want to protect democracy. So this is a very divided country, and one just needs to realize that the shy vote is not the shy vote. Now they've become the clever vote. They don't want to tell you. They're lying to the pollsters.
But I wanted to ask you, Amitoj, something that Maya mentioned earlier, and I don't want to raise any panic or fears, but what is the possibility of really violence on the streets? You mentioned the crowd outside the White House had Black Lives Matter posters, and many parts of New York, the shops are boarding up their windows. I think Bloomingdale's boarded their windows, worrying about post-results violence. Is it a reality, or is it a little bit of extra worry and fear by the media and others?
No, I don't think it is. I think if there is there are two words that I want to just throw out there before I answer that question: anxiety and PTSD. The key point out here is that we're getting a bit of an indication from Donald Trump. And here's the thing that baffles me. I don't understand why the world still has hope that Donald Trump will act presidential. He doesn't. And he's riding on that. He is not off, the deep state, and he doesn't want to act like that. And what he has done is saying a few things. I want to just point out two things. One is that he said, we're going to be sending out our lawyers on election night. The second thing he said was, in fact, this was reported by CNN, by sources. They said that he is going to speak tonight. He also said, I might call it. I might say that I won the election this night.
You call America the beacon of democracy, but this is the ultimate stress test of democracy in America. The chaos will ensue when Donald Trump, when the election is not called, particularly with Pennsylvania still hanging on till Friday, and he says, well, I'm prepared to call it, because he's already indicated that he's prepared to call a win. He doesn't want to wait for Pennsylvania. He has made that very clear, and he's called the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court of Pennsylvania's decision to actually continue to go ahead and count the votes all the way till Friday, a disastrous decision. He has said that very clearly. So he might go ahead and call it. And that is when you might see some chaos happen. That's why there's a non-scalable fence out there at the White House.
So Amitoj, you wanted to come in over here. When Trump says, Georgia, they can't catch us, Pennsylvania, not even close, Ohio, we are up by 460,000, Florida, we are up by 317,000, he seems to be basing his rhetoric on numbers. Now, whether these numbers are accurate or not, given Trump's record of bluster, we don't know, but assuming that these numbers are correct, is there any basis for his belief that, look, it'll be difficult for the Democrats to catch up?
Look, Vishnu, there are a few points that I want to make. We've been talking for a while. Dr. Roy used the word civil war, and I'm going to use that to pick up what Suhasini had earlier said when she said the Democrats are prepared to go ahead and fight this battle in the courts. Yes, in 2000, they were not prepared. Al Gore, in fact, called up George Bush first and conceded, then called him back and said, I'm sorry, I'm not ready to concede. Then he didn't want to destroy American democracy, so he didn't really fight it like the Republicans did. But this time, Biden and team are ready to fight. So you're going to have a fight. But this is a colossal devastation of democracy in America. This is a dog whistle that he's just cited to his supporters, particularly the fringe right-wing supporters. And I want to go back to what Donald Trump had said in one of the debates when he was asked to condemn white supremacy, and he was asked to condemn specifically the Proud Boys, which is a right-wing group. And he said, stand down, and then he said, stand by. The big one, Vishnu, is this phrase that's being used and abused in this election season. It's called peaceful transition of power. Will that happen?